The jungle was quiet. Too quiet. Private Ethan Gray moved slowly through the thick alien foliage. His boots crunched softly over glowing moss, and strange bird-like sounds echoed overhead. This wasn't Earth. This was Xerion 9, an uncharted world humanity had stumbled upon after their warp drive misjumped. They didn't mean to start a war. 3 weeks ago, they had landed here for emergency repairs. The planet was lush, breathable, and beautiful. But then, something shimmered in the sky. Giant alien warships. A warning shot. Then another. And just like that, humanity was at war with the mysterious race that called this planet home. Ethan, a scout in the recovery team, was separated during an ambush. His comms were dead, food low, water low, but oddly he wasn't scared. Something about the place felt watched, not threatening, almost protective. He climbed over a fallen log and froze. There, by a waterfall, was something, or someone. She was tall, around 7 feet, with deep lavender skin and long silver-white hair. Her eyes were large, glowing faintly blue. She wasn't wearing armor, just tribal cloth that wrapped around her shoulders and hips. In her hand was a spear, but she wasn't attacking. She looked embarrassed. Then she darted behind a bush. Ethan, curious, hid behind a tree, not wanting to provoke her. But then he heard a strange sound. Like tink, tink, tink. She came back out, avoiding his eyes. He cautiously stepped forward and noticed something glinting on the ground where she'd gone. Jewels, perfect glowing gemstones. At least a dozen, still warm and steaming slightly. He blinked. Did she just poop diamonds? She looked up sharply. Her cheeks darkened in color, a visible blush. Before Ethan could say another word, 3 armed aliens dropped from the trees behind her guards, and they did not look happy. He raised his hands, but the girl suddenly stepped in front of him, spear up. "Don't hurt him," she said in a voice like ringing wind chimes. He saw, and now he is part of the bond. Ethan stood frozen as the tall alien girl stepped protectively in front of him. The 3 warriors behind her hissed in their strange tongue, raising their glowing staffs. Ethan could feel the energy crackling in the air. One wrong move, and he was toast, but the girl didn't flinch. "He is not enemy," she said, her voice firm now. "He witnessed the offering. He is bonded." Ethan's mind spun. Offering? Bonded? What the hell was she talking about? One of the guards growled, stepping forward. "He is human. They attacked our skies." "He helped me," she snapped. "He didn't know. He was respectful during the ritual." The guards paused, then looked at the shimmering jewels on the ground. Their eyes widened. They slowly lowered their weapons. Ethan exhaled. That was close. The girl turned to him, her face still flushed. "I didn't mean for you to see that." "It's okay," he said awkwardly. "I mean, wow, that was unexpected." She blinked. "You're not disgusted?" He looked at the glowing crystals again. "You just produced something more valuable than anything back on Earth. Disgusted? I'm trying to figure out if I should apologize or propose." The corners of her mouth lifted into a small smile. "My name is Zilara," she said softly. "And you are now part of an ancient agreement." Ethan frowned. "What agreement?" Zilara looked over her shoulder, then whispered, "You saw my offering. That means your life is now tied to mine. You are my bonded." Wait, Ethan said, backing up. "Bonded? Like married?" The guards suddenly knelt around them, pressing fists to the earth. Zilara sighed. "In my culture, yes." Ethan's jaw dropped. "But I don't even know you." "You will." A loud boom echoed in the distance. The ground shook. "They found us," one guard hissed. "We must move." Zilara grabbed Ethan's hand, surprising him with her strength. "You are under my protection now, human, and if you die, so do I." She didn't wait for him to reply. She pulled him into the jungle, her hair flowing like silver flame behind Her as they ran, Ethan couldn't help but ask, "What exactly are you people?" Solara answered without looking back, "We are the Criari, and we are not what your kind thinks." Suddenly vines parted ahead, revealing a massive glowing tree, crystal roots, golden leaves, and platforms built high in the canopy. A hidden village in the sky. Solara turned to him and whispered, "Welcome to my home, Bonded." The massive glowing tree loomed before Ethan like something out of a dream. Giant roots curled around the base of cliffs, and soft glowing lights blinked in the treetop village above. Walkways made of crystal branches shimmered with alien symbols. He'd never seen anything like it. Solara led him up a spiral ramp carved into the tree. Her people, the Criari, watched silently from their platforms, some wide-eyed, others whispering. Most stared at him, then at her, and then at the strange jewels he still held in his palm. "Keep them hidden," Solara whispered. "Those are sacred. Not all here will see your bond as a good thing." "Because I'm human?" he asked. She nodded. "Many believe your kind brings war. You have machines, weapons, greed, but you didn't flinch when you saw the offering. You didn't mock or run. That means something." They entered a chamber woven of glowing vines and curved crystal panels. The walls shifted gently with the tree's breath, and inside was an elder, Criari, an even taller being with emerald skin and gold-lined eyes. Her presence was heavy, ancient. "You bring a human into the heart?" the elder asked, voice low and deep. "He is my bonded," Solara replied. "He saw the offering. I claim him under the right." The elder stepped forward, eyes narrowing, at Ethan. "Does he understand what that means?" "Not really," Ethan admitted. "But I didn't ask for this. I was just trying to survive. Yet fate tied you to our most sacred tradition." The elder circled him slowly. "You may not know this, human, but a Criari's offering is not just waste. It's a transfer of essence, life, memory, even power. We convert what we consume into crystal through our core. That offering you witnessed carries part of her spirit." Ethan blinked. "Wait, so you're saying these things are like pieces of her?" "Yes," Solara said softly. "And you saw them. You touched them. That links you to me." "Great," Ethan muttered. "So now I'm married because I picked up shiny poop." The elder frowned. "You mock the right?" "No," he said quickly. "No disrespect. I'm just overwhelmed." The elder studied him, then turned to Solara. "You must keep him safe. If the War Council finds out, they'll see it as betrayal. The human must not fall into enemy hands." Solara's face turned hard. "I won't let that happen." Just then a tremor shook the tree. A red light pulsed across the walls. "Alert!" a voice boomed in their language. "Skarn soldiers spotted near the southern ridge." Ethan looked at Solara. "Who are the Skarn?" She grabbed her spear. "Our true enemy. Not your people. If they find you, they'll rip the offering from your body. Alive." He paled. "Wait, what?" "They don't want the jewels," she said, pulling him out the door. "They want what they unlock." Ethan ran after her, heart pounding. "You're gonna have to explain that real soon." Solara only looked back once, her expression dead serious. "You're not just bonded now, Ethan. You're carrying something ancient, and they're coming for it." Ethan's boots slammed against the glowing bark as he followed Solara through the twisting canopy walkways. Alarm lights flashed red all around them. The Criari warriors above were grabbing weapons and leaping onto beast mounts, wings spread and eyes sharp, but none of them were watching Ethan. Only Solara was. She glanced back, gripping her spear tighter. "They're coming faster than I expected." "Who exactly are these Skarn?" Ethan gasped, dodging a low branch. Solara didn't slow down. "They're a parasitic race. Once, long ago, they tried to enslave our kind to harvest the offering crystals for power. They feed on the energy inside." "You're saying those gems you, released?" Ethan gulped. "Have power?" "Yes," she said. "Raw, emotional power. Each one is a memory, a part of our essence. But the offering I gave, it wasn't normal. What do you mean? He asked. She stopped and looked at him, her blue eyes glowing in the shadows. It responded to you. It wasn't supposed to. It bonded itself with you. Before Ethan could process that, a loud crack split the air. A chunk of the walkway exploded behind them. Metal claws tore through the vinewood floor. Something screeched, guttural and furious. Black armored creatures, Skarn, emerged from the smoke, glowing red visors scanning, mouths open with rows of jagged teeth. Ethan raised his arms instinctively. I don't even have a gun. Zalara hurled a crystal dart. With perfect accuracy, it hit one Skarn in the face and exploded with a burst of blinding light. Come, she shouted, grabbing his hand again. The lower roots, there's a tunnel. They slid down a thick branch like a spiraling ramp. Another blast erupted nearby. More Skarn were closing in. As they reached the bottom, Ethan tripped and rolled, stopping at the base of a hollow root. He was about to crawl inside when, boom, a Skarn landed in front of him. Its claws reached out but then suddenly froze. The Skarn stared at Ethan, its head tilting, its voice crackled. Carrier detected. Ethan's eyes widened. What? The Skarn reached toward his chest, glowing, symbols appearing in the air, like scanners. Offering bond. Active. Ancient signature. Confirmed. Zalara lunged, spear stabbing through its chest in one strike. Don't let them touch you, they'll extract it directly. The Skarn gurgled and died, crumbling into black ash. Ethan sat up, heart racing. Okay. Yeah, I'm officially terrified now. Zalara offered her hand. Then stay close. You're not just a human anymore, you're a vessel. A vessel for what? She looked him in the eyes. For something our ancestors sealed long ago, something even the Krayari fear. They moved swiftly through the twisting root tunnels beneath the Krayari tree. Soft blue moss lit the way, casting a dreamlike glow on the walls. But Ethan wasn't dreaming. He was running for his life with an alien girl who claimed she'd offered a part of herself that now lived inside him, and monsters wanted to rip it out. His mind was spinning, his breath ragged. So let me get this straight, he said. You pooped out living jewels, I saw it, touched one. Now I'm carrying a piece of your soul? Zalara nodded without looking back. Yes. That's a lot to take in. There's more, she added softly. Of course there is. She stopped at a sealed chamber hidden behind a sliding root wall. She pressed her palm against a symbol. The wall peeled open like petals, revealing a smooth room lit by floating crystals and carvings. On the walls, inside was a pedestal. On it, a glowing white gem pulsed like a heartbeat. This is the core crystal, Zalara said. It holds a collective memory of all Krayari bonded throughout history. Each time one of us performs a sacred offering that bonds with an outsider, this crystal absorbs a shadow of that moment. Ethan stared. You're saying it? Records? Things? Yes. And now, it's responding to you. The pedestal began to hum. The gem floated upward, spinning. Images flashed. Zalara as a child, her crying over a dying pet, her training with a spear, and then him, Ethan, standing wide-eyed in the jungle as the offering dropped behind the bush. He blushed. I didn't think it recorded everything, he muttered. Zalara smiled faintly. The offering reflects truth. It holds no shame. Then, something changed. The crystal stopped spinning. The lights dimmed. A new image formed. Blurry, distant, but it wasn't from Ethan or Zalara's memories. A massive creature stood on a cliff of black stone, overlooking a burning world. Its eyes glowed the same color as the offering crystals. Behind it, hundreds of Skarn bowed in worship. What is that? Ethan whispered. Zalara's voice trembled. That's the Eater of Bonds. A godlike entity the Skarn worship. They believe if they collect enough offerings from Krayari, They can awaken it. And you think the crystal inside me is part of that plan? Solara stepped closer. Not just part, you might be carrying the key, a lost fragment of the ancient core. My offering wasn't ordinary. It carried a seed of something hidden by our ancestors long ago. Ethan backed up. Okay, hold on. I was just a scout. I fixed tech. I can barely cook noodles without burning them. Now I'm bonded, marked, and being chased by alien monsters that worship a poop-eating god? She tilted her head. When you say it like that, it does sound strange. Then a deep rumble shook the chamber. The roots overhead began to split. They've found us, Solara said, pulling Ethan toward a side tunnel. We must get the crystal to the elders. If they extract that hidden memory before we do, all worlds will burn. The Skarn's screeches echoed behind them. Ethan swallowed hard. I should have stayed in the crash site. The tunnel shook violently as roots cracked and dust rained down from above. Ethan and Solara sprinted through the narrow passage, the glowing memory crystal tucked safely in her belt pouch. Behind them, the shrieks of the Skarn drew closer, cold, robotic, and hungry. We're not going to make it to the elders in time. Ethan panted. There's a transport vine path ahead, Solara said. If we can reach it, it will take us straight to the upper sanctuary. But before they could reach it, a burst of black smoke exploded from a side tunnel, followed by 2 Skarn enforcers, each armed with long hook blades that pulsed with red heat. Run, Solara shouted, spinning her spear, but Ethan stumbled. The Skarn lunged. One struck her spear mid-swing, sending it flying into the tunnel wall. The second Skarn wrapped its long claws around Ethan's arms and slammed him into the floor. His vision spun. Solara screamed, charging with her bare hands. But a third Skarn dropped from the ceiling and stunned her with a shock baton. Her body hit the ground with a soft thump. Ethan tried to crawl to her. No, get away from her. But the Skarn already had him. Everything went black. He awoke in a cold chamber lit by a single red beam overhead. His arms were bound behind his back with glowing cuffs. Alien energy buzzed against his skin, making him dizzy. Across from him, Solara was unconscious, chained to the wall. A Skarn stood between them, observing quietly. You carry it, the creature said, its voice hollow and deep. The fragment, it sings inside you. Ethan spat blood to the side. You're not getting anything. The Skarn didn't move. You think you were chosen. But the truth is your body was simply compatible. What are you talking about? The Skarn placed a black crystal device on the floor. It lit up with an eerie hum. This extractor will remove the fragment. Painfully. But alive. Ethan's stomach turned. Where's your god now? The Skarn's head tilted. Closer than you think. The wall behind it lit up, forming an image of the same burning world Ethan had seen in the vision. At its center stood the monstrous being, the eater of bonds, its hands raised toward Umar. The sky, drawing power from countless floating jewels. You call them poop, the Skarn said. We call them echoes of the core. One echo, one memory. 1,000, immortality. And I'm carrying one of those 1,000? Ethan asked, jaw tight. No. You're carrying the final one. Suddenly Solara stirred. Her voice was weak, but clear. Don't listen, Ethan. The Skarn approached her. You should not have performed the offering. You broke the law of balance. Solara opened one eye and smirked. Then let me break one more. In one smooth motion she twisted her wrist and the crystal pouch on her hip exploded in blinding white light. Ethan felt the bindings melt. Run, she yelled. The walls crumbled. Cries echoed down the hall. Ethan lunged forward, grabbed her, and pulled her up. How did you do that? He asked. She coughed. Offerings are more than memories, they're weapons. Alarms began blaring. Red lights flashed. They were free, but not safe. Let's finish this, Ethan said, jaw clenched. Solara looked at him, eyes glowing. Then let's go where it all began. The ancient core. The jungle roared around them as Ethan and Solara fled the collapsing Skarn outpost. Trees twisted in the wind like they were alive, responding to the explosion of crystal energy she had triggered. Roots parted beneath their feet, guiding them toward something hidden, something old. Ethan held tight to her hand, his body aching from the torture, but his mind sharper than ever. I thought the ancient core was a myth, he panted. It is, Solara said, eyes glowing. But myths usually come from truth. Where is it? She pointed toward a mist-covered valley below. A strange light pulsed from deep underground. Beneath the cradle of tears. That's where the first offering was ever made. As they reached the ridge, the landscape changed. The trees no longer glowed. They shimmered like glass. Flowers blinked open as they passed. The very air felt heavier, charged with emotion. The core is alive, she whispered. And it remembers everything. Ethan shivered. Including me? Solara nodded. It's been waiting. They descended into the valley through a narrow cave that pulsed with dim blue light. Strange symbols lined the walls, whispering in a voice Ethan could almost understand. At the center was a massive floating crystal, 20 feet tall, perfectly still. It hovered over a pool of liquid light. The air hummed like a heartbeat. Ethan stepped forward. The jewel in his pocket, Solara's offering, began to vibrate. It rose into the air, glowing brighter, and shot toward the core. No, Solara shouted. Ethan, wait, too late. The crystal merged with the core. A shockwave exploded outward. Suddenly, Ethan saw everything, thousands of years of Creari. History poured into his mind, wars, peace, love, death, and then the Eater of Bonds, not a god, a failed experiment, a corrupted being born when a human once tried to take the core's power for himself. That same energy now pulsed inside Ethan. He collapsed. When he woke, Solara was kneeling beside him. You're different, she whispered. Your skin is glowing. Ethan looked down. Faint lines of energy ran along his arms, pulsing with the same color as the offering. He could feel memories not his own, emotions, power. I know who the Eater is, he said, voice calm and deep. I know how to stop him. How? She asked. He stood, taller than before. The core pulsed behind him. By giving back what was taken. All of it. Solara's eyes widened. You mean every offering? From every Creari? Ethan nodded. And I know where the last ones are stored. He turned toward the tunnel. The Scarn Vault. She stared at him, stunned. You're going back there? I have to, he said. If we don't return the echoes, the Eater will rise. And this time, it won't just be our world. The entrance to the Scarn Vault was buried beneath a lifeless canyon, scarred by centuries of war. Black smoke drifted from broken machines and jagged spires. The sky above churned unnaturally, clouds swirling around a pulsing red rift in space. Ethan and Solara crouched behind the rocks, watching. This place wasn't on any map, Ethan whispered. It wouldn't be, Solara said. It's forbidden ground. Even Creari elders fear it. Then why does it feel like I've been here before? She looked at him, her voice low. Because the offering inside you remembers. A giant obsidian gate stood ahead, guarded by armored Scarn sentries. Between them, a massive carving of the Eater of Bonds loomed over the entrance, its eyes glowing with the same hue as Ethan's arms. Ethan clenched his fists. Time to end this. They moved fast. With Solara's agility and Ethan's new reflexes, they slipped past the outer perimeter like shadows. At one point, a Scarn spotted them, but Ethan raised his hand instinctively. A flash of blue light burst from his palm, slamming the creature into the wall without touching it. Solara stared in awe. The core is alive inside you. I'm still figuring out the controls, he muttered. They reached the inner vault, sealed behind a pulsating gate of energy. A panel beside it required a code. Ethan stepped forward. Let me try. He pressed his hand to the surface. The gate shimmered, paused, then opened. Inside, hundreds, no, thousands of offering crystals floated in suspended fields. Each one pulsed softly. They weren't just glowing, they were crying. Echoes of pain, love, loss. Feelings trapped for generations. Zalara gasped. These are the stolen bonds of my people. Ethan stepped in. And they're reaching for me. One by one, the crystals drifted toward him, glowing brighter. They circled his body, forming a ring of light and memory. He could hear their voices, not words, but feelings, pure, raw emotions. Then, boom, the vault doors exploded open. Dozens of Skarn soldiers poured in. Their commander, twice the size of the others, pointed a claw at Ethan. He carries the final key. Take him alive. Ethan turned to Zalara. I need time. She raised her spear. You'll get it. The room erupted into chaos. Zalara danced between enemies like lightning, blade flashing with every spin. Ethan stood in the center, hands glowing brighter and brighter as the offering crystals entered him. Willingly, each one unlocked more of the ancient core's memory. Each one gave him power. But then, something else entered. A shadow, a whisper, a voice that wasn't his. You carry what was mine. Ethan staggered, clutching his head. A dark force pushed inside. Something old, something angry. The eater of bonds. He dropped to one knee. Ethan, Zalara shouted, cutting through another Skarn. Fight it. He clenched his fists. His veins glowed, his skin cracked with light. No, he growled. You don't belong here. With a roar, he released a shockwave of crystal energy, blasting every Skarn across the chamber. Silence. The remaining crystals hovered peacefully around him. He stood up slowly, his eyes glowing. It's time, he said. Zalara limped to his side, blood on her arm but eyes proud. Are you ready? He nodded. We're going to the core, and we're going to restore everything. The skies above the Cradle of Tears were no longer peaceful. Storms cracked open the heavens as Ethan and Zalara returned to the glowing valley. Lightning struck the edges of the floating cliffs. Even the great crystal trees trembled. The core was calling them, urgently, but it wasn't just welcoming them back. It was preparing for war. Ethan's body now glowed with the light of 100 offerings, each crystal memory integrated into his soul. His veins shimmered. His voice carried a strange echo, and his thoughts sometimes felt like they belonged to someone or something else. I can hear them, he said quietly as they stood at the mouth of the cavern. The memories, the ancestors, the fear. Zalara placed a hand on his arm. Then let them guide you, not control you. Together they stepped into the cave, passing ancient murals carved into the walls, showing what had once been a great unification of species, until greed turned offerings into weapons. The core chamber looked different now. The floating crystal at the center spun violently. Waves of energy rippled outward like sonic booms. Around it, holographic projections of a rising force, Skarn fleets, world burners, and worst of all, the Eater of Bonds appeared in flickers. Ethan stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the central platform, the offerings orbiting him shot into the core, one by one. With every crystal absorbed, the core grew calmer, brighter, more aware. Zalara gasped. You're restoring it. I'm giving it back what was stolen, Ethan said, breathing heavily. But then, a pulse of black energy exploded from the ceiling above. The roof cracked open, revealing a ship descending, one unlike any Skarn vessel. Sleek, living metal. Dark veins pulsed through it like a beating heart. From it emerged a creature towering twice Ethan's height, twisted, decayed, yet regal. Eyes like suns made of black fire. The Eater of Bonds had arrived. You think restoration will undo what was done? The creature growled. I was born from the greed of your kind, and now I return to consume. Ethan stood tall. I'm not like the one who created you. No, the Eater sneered. You're stronger, which makes you more dangerous. The air warped as the Eater raised a claw. Shadows tore at the walls. Solara leapt in front of Ethan, spear raised, but she was flung aside like a feather. Your bond is irrelevant, the Eater hissed. He belongs to me now. Ethan stepped forward, energy flaring from his chest. You were created by stolen memory. I'm made of willing ones. The core pulsed at his words. Ethan's voice grew louder, deeper, as the last crystal entered the core. I carry love, pain, sacrifice, and truth. The core exploded with light. A beam of pure energy shot upward, piercing the clouds and ripping across the skies like a signal fire. The Eater screamed, but it was not over. Not yet. The core's radiant beam split the sky, and the jungle stilled, as time itself seemed to hold its breath. The Eater of Bonds shrieked, retreating slightly, its massive form cracking under the light's pressure. But it didn't fall. Not yet. Ethan stood at the center of the glowing platform, his body trembling, with energy. The offerings, every sacred memory, every piece of soul entrusted to him, now lived within the core. But he knew it still wasn't enough. The Eater snarled. You think love and light can stop what I am? I was made by your kind's hunger. You're wrong, Ethan said. You were made by fear. The core pulsed again, but this time, something was missing. Solara, weak but standing, limped to his side. He's too strong. He's feeding off the gaps. There's still a piece missing. Ethan turned to her. What do you mean? She looked at him, eyes shimmering. The last offering wasn't just memory. It was meant to be choice. And then, without waiting, she stepped onto the platform beside him. Her hand touched his chest, right where the last jewel had entered. I give it freely, not out of duty, not by mistake. I choose you. The light in her hand ignited. Her entire body glowed with brilliant violet fire. No, the Eater bellowed, claws slashing through the air. You give away what cannot be replaced. It's mine to give, she whispered. And then she pressed her hand into the core. A sound like a bell across galaxies rang out. The Eater froze, mid-step, its form unraveling. Its limbs dissolved into dust, its screams turned into wind. And then, silence. The chamber dimmed. Only Ethan and Solara remained, kneeling, breathless. Later, the skies over Zirion 9 cleared for the first time in centuries. The floating trees glowed peacefully. Kriari elders gathered around the core, now pulsing with calm and steady light. Ethan sat quietly beneath a crystal tree, still glowing faintly, not with power but with memory. Solara joined him, a faint smile on her face. It's over, she said. He nodded. Is it weird that I'll kind of miss all the chaos? She tilted her head. Even the part where I accidentally bonded with you because you saw me, you know. He chuckled. Honestly, I've had worse first dates. They sat in silence for a while. Then she leaned in, whispering, just so you know, our tradition says those who share an offering and survive the core are bound for life. Ethan raised an eyebrow. That mean I'm stuck with you? Solara smirked. No, it means I chose to be stuck with you. He smiled. Then let's see where this weird, jewel-pooping bond takes us. Above them, the stars shimmered, finally at peace.